All right, awesome. All right, well, welcome everybody. Thanks so much. Excited for you guys to be here on our week one video. I want to try to make this one a little bit more interactive and get used to like looking at the chat feed and everything. So go ahead and wave me a hi and figure out how to use chat if you're logged in, so that when we get to the Q&A, you know how to ask me a question. So go ahead, give me a little wave, let me know that you're here from that standpoint. And while we're waiting for a few people to join as well, I just wanted to go over a couple of motivational points for you today. I want you to take a moment and think about your why. Think about why you joined this program. What were you looking to get out of it? What do you want to do different in your life? I really want you to think about it and dig deep and answer those questions to find your purpose here. And I want you to consciously connect with that every day to really have it sink in and really connect with you. So, and I'm getting things that people can't hear me. So can people hear me? Yes? No? 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 Okay, we're going to start over then. Hang on. Amber can. It's just, okay. Hang on one second. I can hear people. Unmute all. Let me try unmuting everybody. Can you hear me now, Diane?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Danny, you can hear me. So you think everybody else can maybe hear me? She's going to try. Okay. All right.
I can hear you, but I can't get you on the video.
Okay. Okay. I put everybody back on mute so that there's no background noise. But hopefully you can hear me. If you can't get me on video, did you dial in or did you click the link? You're on.
I clicked the link. Actually, I did both. I have you on my phone, but I don't have you on video.
Internet
audio. Hang on. I have my tech guy working on this. 1 second.
It worked on here when I did the internet audio.
What's internet audio mean? 1 second. Hold, please.
When I click join, call using internet audio.
Okay. When you guys joined, did you click using internet audio? That's probably the option that you want when you join. Amber, you did computer volume. Okay, so everybody, and Danny did computer audio, so everybody's doing different things. You might just have to play around with the selection that you picked. Sorry about that. Diane, can you hear me now or no? No, she can't hear me. What a bummer. Log back out and in, Diane. Not that you can hear me. Yeah, try it again. I'm gonna keep moving on. Sorry, girlfriend. It's me, not you. Okay, try logging out and back on. All right, sorry about that. So anyways, I was talking about having bumps in the road. Timely. So you probably will have bumps in the road. You're gonna have obstacles. There might be a setback or two, but really finding your purpose and why you're doing this will give you that inner strength that you need to increase your likelihood of success here. So again, I want you to ask yourself why. Why are you doing this? Really dig deep and remind yourself of that why every day to help drive you to stick with this program and help cement these healthy lifestyle habits that we're working on forming here. So connecting with our why and staying positive is going to be key for success. So that was my little kind of motivation, little choppy with the figuring out the technical difficulties here. So a bunch of people joined, so that's good. So we will kick things off. Hopefully people can hear me. I know some people were having difficulty, but we're recording so you can watch the replay at another time, hopefully when the volume is working. All right, so how was everyone's prep week? Kind of information overload, right? There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of going on. I know a bunch of people were like, trying to figure it all out. It was a lot. But I'm so proud of you guys for sticking with it, posting your macros and everything during prep week. It was awesome. And really, really working to try to figure it out and get a little bit better each day. That's like the name of the game and what we're going to continue to do throughout this program from that standpoint. So don't feel overwhelmed. These food cycles are going to repeat themselves every week. So you will get better and better at it, and it will come second nature to you, and you'll like the variety, even though the variety might be driving you a little crazy in the beginning trying to figure it out. And I know MyFitnessPal 2 is something that can also be daunting to take on the first week, figuring out how to log food, figuring out your portion sizes, if you're getting it correctly in there, things of that nature, recipes, and figuring all that out is a lot of work. But that too will have a steep learning curve and will get easier as we go on. Especially as you start to repeat meals and things of that nature. So proud of everybody for their prep week work. And really, you guys are like inspiring me. I can feel your energy and your excitement, and you're really sticking to it and giving it your all, and I love it. So thanks so much. So the educational topic that I wanted to go over tonight is macros. Macros, macros, macros. It's what we've been talking about all week, but wanted to go over it again. Tracking macros might be new to a lot of you. So I wanted to take a step back and go over why it's important and why we do it. So historically, when you think about diets, they have a bad connotation to them because they typically are a restrictive calories in, calories out mentality. Track your calories, cut them down, you'll lose weight. That's what people talk about when they historically talk about trying to lose weight and dieting. But what that does not take into account is that not all calories are created equal. So that's why people end up moody, tired, or hungry all the time when they're restricting calories, because of the fact that they're not tracking what makes up those calories and giving their bodies what it needs. So calories are comprised of macros. So when people use the word macros, they're talking about what it is, what macronutrients are making up the calories you're consuming. So there are 4 macros. I know we've been talking about 3, but there are 4. Carbs, protein, fats, and alcohol. Alcohol in MyFitnessPal doesn't even show up on your pie chart though. John's over here doing a victory dance. He likes that fact. So basically the calories still get tracked, but they don't include that one in your macro pie chart. So the 3 in MyFitnessPal that we're looking at, like I said, carbs, protein, and fat. Carbs are needed for energy. So we do need carbs to fuel our bodies. However, carbs get a bad rap because there are 2 types of carbs. There are the simple carbs that easily break down into glucose, hence they spike your blood sugar up and down. You get the peaks and valleys. Those are the simple carbs, and those are like what you think of when you think of sugar. Those are the carbs we are avoiding on this program. Then there are the complex carbs. Complex carbs are wrapped in fiber and take longer for your body to break down. Hence, it will give you a more stable energy source and fuel from that standpoint. So those are the carbs that we eat. Then there is protein. Protein is very important because it helps you build your muscle, feel strong, and it will help you make those fitness goals that you have, which is why when I comment on your macro charts, I'm constantly saying, make sure you hit your protein grams. Everybody is set to that 20% protein, but if you go a little bit over and you're the 20 to 30% range, that's okay. Protein is the one macro that you do not want to undereat because your body needs protein and you do not want it breaking down your muscles to access protein. You want to be fueling your body with protein every day. Your body doesn't store protein like it stores carbs and fat unless it's in your muscle. So it needs it every day from that standpoint. So always, always, always hit your protein gram goal unless you want all of that hard-earned muscle that we're working so hard to build to be eaten. And we don't want that. So I will always be checking to make sure that your protein gram goals have been hit. And last is fat. That's the 3rd macro that we're tracking. Now, fat helps enable your hormone production. It also helps your cell development and growth. Fat helps you feel full and satisfied too, which is why we need it. It's also a second source of fuel. Like on our low carb days, when we deplete our body of those carbohydrate stores, fat can be used as fuel as well. So balancing the mix of those macros, the carbs, protein, and fat, is the key to success. When you only track calories, you're not getting the benefit of those individual macros, which together and eaten in the right mix give you energy, regulate your hormones, and keep your muscles strong. So that's why macros and all and maybe you're even more alert to it now that you've heard us talking about macros. Like macros is trending right now. Everybody's tracking their macros. So that old mentality of tracking calories is not beneficial. It's tracking the macros. And so I gotten the question before, does each meal or snack need to be in that macro mix that we're tracking for the day? The answer is no, it doesn't exactly have to mix. That would drive everybody crazy if every single time you ate, it had to match the macro mix for the day. But it should be in the ballpark, because when you eat that right, clean, whole food, nutrient dense macro mix that we're looking for, it will help stabilize your blood sugar levels. So we'll avoid those spikes and crashes. So it will avoid that hangry feeling. It will help you feel satisfied, and it will turn that hunger hormone off. So you do want to make sure, especially on like regular macro days, you're getting that somewhat of a good mix of your carbs, fat, and protein at every meal. If you're missing the protein, your body might go to muscle. If you're missing the fat, you might get hangry sooner. So it's kind of why you want that balanced mix within every meal or snack. I understand it's not going to be perfect, but just know if you're getting just fruit, you might only be, as a snack, you're only giving your body a carb. So you should probably have, a hard-boiled egg or something else to help balance it out, to kind of really try to meet somewhat close to that macro mix we're going for the day. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you find yourself getting hungry after you eat, maybe that meal you had wasn't the correct macro mix from that standpoint. So that's the talk on macros. I know it's kind of crazy to think about, it's hard enough if you wanted to track calories, but now you have to track the macros within it. On top of that, we have 2 different macro mixes that we're tracking, the low carb mix and the regular mix. So I understand why during prep week, it probably seemed complex. It could be daunting. It's hard to switch from one day to the other and figure out, how do I have to change this up to reach my macro mix? But once you get the hang of it, it is sustainable and realistic. On low carb days, you get to have a lot of fat. I love the almond butter, and there's just fatty foods that I like to eat. And so you get to fit that in on the low carb days. But I already made my overnight oats for tomorrow that I'm going to eat. And so tomorrow I'm excited to be having the carbs. So it gives you kind of a variety in your diet of what you get to eat when you have those different carb cycling approaches. And it's beneficial for the reasons we talked about last week of teaching your body to become a fat burner as well. Stick with it. Don't get frustrated. Learn from each day. Try to be 1% better the next day. That's why this is a program. It's not a guide that I just give you and throw you, to the wind to figure it out on your own. That's what we're here for. So we're all going to work through it together. So that's my macro talk from that standpoint. So far, I've sent you a smoothie guide. I hope everybody was able to take a look at it. Getting your smoothie in is a good way to help balance your macros. You can add a fat, you can add a carb, the protein with protein powder, and you can also add greens, spinach in there. You can add superfoods and fiber. So smoothies, and that's why I wanted to lead with that guide, is a great, great way to get a well-balanced macro meal or snack in you. From that standpoint. So that's why I really want you to kind of focus on that and figure it out. If you're on the go a lot, you can make it in the morning and put it in your Yeti. It will hold till you break your fast from that standpoint. Those Yetis are amazing. So don't think like, oh no, I'm leaving my house at 8 a.m. and I'm not going to eat till noon. Bring it with you. Or you can turn it into overnight oats. I know it's a little bit harder to get the greens in, but sometimes I just find it easy on these cold days. I'd rather have overnight oats than a freezing cold smoothie when walking in the door from being outside or something. So I'll just have like a salad. So tomorrow I'm going to have a big salad as my lunch, and my overnight oats are already made for a snack. And so it just kind of sets the day up and is easy from there. So you can make those options work for on the go. And again, the more greens, fiber, superfoods you can get in and balancing those macros, it'll be an amazing start to fuel your day from that standpoint. And then I sent you today a grab and go guide to help you figure out how are you going to get those veggies in, and then how can you get some carbs in when you're on the go? How can you get some fat in when you're on the go? I didn't do a separate protein one just because the protein depends on the low carb or the regular macro day, what it goes with. But if I put the percentages on the items, so if you just look at the items and try to find something that has the 20% or higher protein on it, then you'll know, okay, this will also help me achieve my protein goals for the day from that standpoint. So again, the grab and go is not meant to replace your whole foods. It's meant to just be a supplement to help bridge you over during snack time until you can kind of get some good, wholesome prepared foods in. from that standpoint. So and let's see if I can do, what I wanted to do here is see if I can share my screen, and let's see how this works. I'm going to share my screen here. All right, let's see if I can view full screen. All right, does that work from that standpoint? All right, perfect. So because grab and go is so important and people are on the go, I wanted to go over real quick how to read a label. So this is one of the bars I put on the low carb day bar. It's by Primal Kitchen. They're a good brand. I use their salad dressings too. They're avocado oil based. Primal Kitchen is a really good brand. They are very paleo, keto, whole food friendly from that standpoint. So if you were to go to the store and you're looking at this and you're going, how the heck do I know if I can eat this? I'm going to give you some tips and tools to work through it. Okay, so here's the nutrition facts label that you see. This bar has 210 calories, 13 grams of fat, 14 carbs, 1 gram of fiber, and 13 grams of protein. So from that standpoint, what you need to do is fat has 9 calories per gram. So these 13 grams times 9 is 117 out of 210 calories means this bar is 55% fat. Carbs and protein have less. They have 4 calories per gram. So you're going to take your 14 carbs times 4, which is 56 out of the 210, and it has 26%. Protein, again, like carbs, has 4. So 13 times 4 is 52 out of the 210, 25%. These numbers in theory should add up to 100. Here it's 105. It's just rounding. They never give you decimals. It's not like 13.2 or 12.7. We don't know which it is. So as long as you're in the ballpark of 100%, you know you did your math right. But it's just a quick way to know if you want to know if something has enough protein in it for you. You could figure that out. If there's a certain day of the week you're looking for a certain macro in a bar or a grab and go type food. So keep that in mind if you want to figure out kind of percentages when you're looking at stuff. I would say just as important though, maybe even more so important because you can balance out your macros by adding in other things, is the ingredients. So when I looked at this bar, it definitely has protein added through collagen and some, I thought there was another one, but not, egg whites. So that's how they're getting their protein. And then I'm going to say, how is it sweetened? Because there is 2 added sugars. Now, technically, we don't really want added sugar, but sometimes a teeny tiny bit is there, and that doesn't, it's just something that we're adding in. So when I look at how this is adding the sugar, I can see it's through honey. Honey, maple syrup, and coconut sugar are the best, like low glycemic sweeteners that are used, that are much healthier alternatives to sugar. So if this had pure sugar in it, or even sometimes cane sugar, I try to stay away from. But the honey, maple syrup, and coconut sugar are your pretty like low glycemic sweeteners. This also has a monk fruit extract in it. Monk fruit and stevia are the only 2 calorie-free natural sweeteners that have no documented effect on the body. And they're considered a natural sweetener. They're not considered a sugar alcohol. So if something if it doesn't have any added sugars, but I know it's, like vanilla flavored, well, how is it sweetened? If it's sweetened with monk fruit or stevia, then in my opinion, I feel like that's pretty good to go. And I know it won't give me digestive issues like some of the sugar alcohols can do. And it's a natural form of the sweetener. So you want to look at the ingredients. These are all pretty much things. I mean, the fact that it's tapioca fiber as its first, I'd rather something like almonds and the protein and nuts be first. But again, it's the collagen is a protein, nuts, pumpkin seeds, great, egg whites, honey. We talked about eggs, water, natural flavor, sea salt, vanilla extract, sunflower, lichen, rosemary, and monk fruit. So again, all kind of ingredients that somewhat know what they are, can touch and feel them. So it feels like a pretty good product from that standpoint. So here's another example of a bar. It's marketed as a high protein bar. So you might be like, awesome, high protein, gluten-free, low GI, a low glycemic index, GMO with an asterisk, free, meaning it like there's an asterisk about it not having genetically engineered products. Not sure what that means. They're claiming it. Gluten-free. So you might take a look at this and be like, awesome, I need some protein. So again, if you do the math, there is the 9 grams of fat, makes it 33%. The carbs, 25, 41%, and the protein, 20 grams of protein. So it's 33% protein. So this is something that you might want to grab and think, oh, this is awesome, I'll get my protein. But I'm going to take a look at this label and say it has 0 fiber. So how healthy are these carbs if there's no fiber? And it has 22 sugar alcohols. That's disclosed down here. So I'm already going to be weary of this bar just based on the nutritional information. And then I'm going to go down to the ingredients and I'm going to see, okay, it does have a protein blend as its number 1. I'm not surprised it's a protein bar of soy and whey. But then there is all these other things that honestly, I'm not even going to try to pronounce because you'll laugh at me. It's just things that I don't even know. So the fact that I can't pronounce half of these ingredients, all of these sugar alcohols and no fiber for the carbs is going to make me say I'm not going to choose this bar over other options out there from that standpoint. So let me go back to not sharing my screen now, stop share. So that was kind of the quick overview I wanted to give you on label reading from that standpoint. And so hopefully that was helpful and kind of gives you an overview of what our macros are, why we're looking for a mix, and how to look at a label and decide on the fly, is this something I should be eating or not? So take a look next time you go to the store, especially when you have time, label read. Don't wait for the first time you're in a jam, because that's when it's, the easiest to grab something from that standpoint. So, okay. All right. So that was my grab and go guide too. Hopefully you guys find that helpful. We will not do a live next week. We'll take a break from live and jump in and do one again in week 3 and touch base from that standpoint, just from a logistics. Again, from logistics, I think Facebook has been great. I love everybody posting their macros every day. Keep up the good work, asking the questions. I love it. I know sometimes I probably have a few hour delay, especially in the afternoon, to reply, but I always get to everybody's questions from that standpoint. So keep them coming. It's great. And again, the questions you post there are awesome because if you have them, it's very likely that somebody else has them as well. So that was kind of what I wanted to go over tonight, just to kick it off, say hi to everybody, go over the macros, and just kind of give that education from that standpoint. You all are doing great. I was so blown away by prep week. And I mean, you guys did prep week as if it was a mini week 1 and just jumped right in. So again, the reminder about the motivation, connect with your why, remind yourself every day why you're doing this. Don't go for perfection, go for progress. Let's try to be 1% better each day and really learn from the program to really cement this as a healthy lifestyle. So if people have any questions, I see a few coming in already. I'm going to go over them. And then I did get some via the email, the check-in emails that I sent out last week too. You mentioned not to go under on protein. Can you go too far over? Yes, I put the range on like 20 to 35% on protein. You don't want to go too far over because like your body can't really store, it's not going to like build muscle just because you gave it too much protein. Instead, it's going to turn the excess protein into glycogen, which is what it turns excess carbs into. So too much protein ends up being stored the same way that too much carbs does. It's turned into sugar, it's stored as fat. So you don't want to go too much over. 20 to 35% is kind of the sweet spot and the range for people to do on their protein from that standpoint. Fat, how much is too much on low carb days? I just laugh because I crack up. You guys, every day I'm like, you need to eat more. You need to eat more. I am the opposite. I could overeat fat and overeat food. It's my dishwasher. All day long. I would like to see some of you overeat on fat. Come on, bring it. What you want to do on a low carb day is you're going to do the net 50 grams of carbs. You're going to hit your protein gram goal. And then that should take up the balance such that you're kind of hitting your total calorie goal for the day. Some people might not need to. Some people that, like I said, that keeps you feel satisfied. It turns off your hunger hormone. There's some people that maybe get to 80% of their total for the day. That's fine. You want to eat until you feel full. You also want to read your body. If you're starving, I guess you can go a little bit over your calorie goal, but I would try to say that you'll cut off the fat once you hit your calorie goal. But on days that you're really hungry or you knew you did more exercise than usual, it's okay to go a little bit over. So fat's kind of the barometer that you use to know how much to eat in the day, just like you would any normal day, how much food you eat. I don't really, fat, again, you don't want to go crazy on it, especially if you're new to eating so much fat in a day. Your body just might not know how to handle it, and I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. So eat until you feel, full. You don't want to be gorging yourself and feel gross after. So kind of those normal full indicators you use on a normal day, use on a low carb day, but apply it to your fat, because obviously you're limiting your carbs and you're making sure you're hitting your protein from that standpoint. I also got the question of how much water do you recommend drinking each day on the program? The program recommends minimum half your body weight in ounces. It's pretty much your standard recommendation of water drinking, especially on days you're working out, try to drink more, but it's a minimum of half your body weight in ounces from that standpoint. And just really hydrate. I know I talked about it, so hopefully everybody is definitely hitting that minimum, if not exceeding from that standpoint. Another question I got is, I'm still eating dairy. How might that affect my results? Okay, good question. We all have bio-individuality. That means we are unique in our nutrition needs. Hence, we all have different macro pie chart goals, and we're not like comparing to each other's goals. So we all are going to respond differently to food as well. So sometimes your individual response to certain food is not the same as somebody else, but it's not cut and dry either. You can't have dairy one day and not the next day and determine its impact on you. You have to cut something out like dairy for 4 to 6 weeks to see how you feel, to then truly determine, do I feel better or not? And sometimes you don't know until you add it back in. My personal experience was with intermittent fasting. When I first started, after a little bit, I kind of I just got fed up with the restriction of it in the eating window. I'm somebody who loves to eat. So after doing it for a while, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't have to. So I went off of it. It only took me 2 to 3 days off of it before I was like, oh my gosh, like I missed it. I missed it so much. I missed the energy in the morning. I missed how I felt from that standpoint. And I got right back on. So it wasn't until I cut it out or implemented intermittent fasting and then went back and stopped that I realized how much I loved it. So I would encourage you to do the same thing on dairy. Cut it out for 4 to 6 weeks. See how you feel. Then try adding it back in and see if there's a difference on your body. So what does dairy do? Dairy can cause bloating, gas, IBS, skin issues, mood swings, respiratory problems. Studies have found that about 75% of the world's population is unable to properly digest milk and other dairy products from that standpoint. So a lot of the people in the faster rate of fat loss, they report feeling less bloated, and they have fewer digestive problems as well after cutting dairy out. So again, this is all about you. Everybody has individual responses and needs, but this is kind of the time to try it if you want to try it, to cut it out and see how your body responds. But it's your decision at the end of the day. You're funny, Diane, not your experience. Everybody has their own experience with things. You have to find what works for you. That's why we're trying things in this 6-week program. We are trying what works best for you to fuel your body and feel your best. Everybody's going to come up with a different favorite thing at the end of the 6 weeks. That's the cool thing about it. But we're trying a lot. That's why you're also like, this is crazy in the beginning. All right. Another question was, on low carb days, the suggestion is to have 50 grams of net carbs. Is that automatically calculated when I look at my totals on the app, or do I have to calculate that and pay attention to it offline? Okay, good question. You do have to calculate it, but you can calculate it in your head. This is not like pulling out a calculator type calculation. So when you go to the end of your chart, your daily diary in MyFitnessPal, and you click that nutrition button and you go to the macros on your pie chart, it's not on there. So if you go one over to the left where it says nutrients, that's where it will then list, here's what your total fat grams were for the day. Here's your total carb grams, and under total carb, it'll say dietary fiber. So you just click over there, you look, and in your head you go, okay, I was at, 70 carbs less 20 fiber, I'm at net 50. So yeah, you keep track of it offline, kind of in your head, and you're running total. The more greens and the healthier food you're eating, the higher your carb total can go, because that stuff has more fiber in it from that standpoint. So that's kind of just where it is from that and where you see it. Okay, another question. I saw somewhere the acronym IIFYM in that approach. What does that stand for? Okay, so that is also something that you might see out and about too, and people talking about. That stands for if it fits in your macros, IIFYM. So if it fits in your macros. So that's kind of like what we're doing in this program, where you like, if it fits in your macros, you eat it. If it's a whole food and nutritious and gluten-free and dairy-free. So we have the caveats. There are the if it fits in your macro approach. Some people take that approach where there's no off-limit foods. If they, like kind of like on Saturday when you fit your treat in your macro, we're fitting it in our macros. People take that approach every day. They take their macro mix and they eat whatever they want, gluten, dairy, and all of that. They just fit it to their macros. So we are doing something similar. If it fits in your macros, we are just focusing on the whole nutritious, gluten-free, dairy-free foods to fit that in our macros, to not only maximize the benefits of macro tracking, but doing it with the right foods to fuel our body from that standpoint. So let's see. I see somebody else who now is saying they liked intermittent fasting after trying it a second time as well. Yeah, everybody's going to have a different experience, guys. And that's why we're here and working together to figure out what's best for you from that standpoint. So let's see. I think I got all the questions now from that standpoint. And so, yeah, all right, I think we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. Thank you guys so much for joining. I can't wait. You know, we are well into week 1. We are getting carbs tomorrow. Like I said, my overnight oats are already in the fridge. I'm excited after 2 low carb days from that standpoint. And so I will see you on Facebook in the morning. Hopefully you kind of noticed by now I check everybody's macro charts in the morning and post for the day. And I'm going to keep that going as we continue. So continue to post your macro charts to it. Continue to post your questions to it. This is a group. We are all of us together. All right, I'm getting go carbs, lots of carbs. Everybody's excited about carbs from that standpoint. So awesome. Well, again, so excited. We are going to crush it over the next 6 weeks, and we will do another live in 2 weeks to kick off week 3. But do not wait to ask questions until then. Ask along the way. Let's all encourage and support each other. So everybody have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you on Facebook tomorrow.